Shalawam. This is the Hidden Chosen. I am Hadassah Batsaya returning with part 3 of this amazing study called The Timeline for the End Times. And this part 3 is called The Final Judgments and the New Heavens, the New Earth, and New Yarawashalam. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind you that this is a timeline based on the prophecies, whether the book of Revelation, the book of Yahazakah, who is Ezekiel, the book of Jeremiah, the book of Yeshaoya. What I have done, because I've done all these studies already, and especially in the book of Revelation, I started from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 22, and there are also other independent studies in between. So I have covered all of these topics, everything that you have seen, you're hearing me speak about in these 3 parts, I have already covered in great detail. And this is the reason why I'm doing the timeline now, to put everything in the sequence of order, whereas the events are going to take place. If you have not watched any of my other videos, you're going to have a very difficult time understanding this timeline. And I would strongly suggest that you go back to the book of Revelation. I try to add the end cards at the ending of the videos. Go in there. I have them labeled with the correct titles, so you don't have to search too much to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for the second Exodus for the Northern Kingdom, it's there. If you're looking for information about the 2 witnesses, they're there. The information is there. Everything is there at your fingertips. You just got to go and maybe go through, because I did so many parts. I think it would probably be totaling about 30 studies, 35 studies from part 1 all the way down, from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 22, because there are other studies in between. But the information is there. All of the information you need is there. And so when you are hearing me speak on certain precepts, and I haven't gone into detail, because if I go into detail for all the precepts, then the study will be very long and it will take away from the purpose of this particular study. So I will strongly encourage you, if you're not familiar with what I'm teaching, because this is the first time you're hearing it, guaranteed. I'm sure this will be the first time you're hearing about the 2 witnesses and who they are and where they're coming from and everything about them, about the second Exodus, about the Northern Kingdom, how they're going to start their journey. All of that is outlined in the book of Revelation, the study that I did, that one gigantic study. Everything is there. And so my encouragement is for you to go back, get into the studies, understand all the precepts, where they're taken from, and then come back to this study. All right? So with that, I'm going to get started, because this one could be a little longer than all the others. And this is the final part for this particular study, but not the conclusion. Not the conclusion yet. Okay? Now that the Northern Kingdom will be safely dwelling in our land, Yashwa'al, Yahweh will now turn his attention to the Gentiles on the earth. This will now be his time for judging them for the wickedness that they and their ancestors had done against his people, and at the same time, it will also be a time of sifting out the unrighteous. Now listen to me, people. All right? Let's get something straight. Because a lot of people think that Yahweh is this being. Yes, he's loving and he loves his people, But he's also a judge. And he's not afraid to judge unrighteous people. And he's not afraid of to punish you either. So if you're out there sinning and encouraging others to sin, he's going to punish you. Don't think that you're making your bed in heaven. You're wrongly mistaken. And if he did it to his own people, what makes you think that the Gentiles will escape his judgments? Go back to the Bible and read it again and see what he did to the children of Yashrael. Whenever they disobeyed him, he punished them. And they were punished severely. Even to the very last time they were punished, they were taken away from their own land. Taken into different countries that they didn't even know the languages of those countries. Their identity deleted. All of this because of their disobedience. And many of them died. So don't think that death did not come our way. Go back and do your history and see how many people, how many slaves died on the way from the west coast of Africa all the way to the lands that they scattered us by the millions. That was their punishment. How many of them died when they reached the land? Many of them. And how many are still dying today because of persecution? By the same hands of the offspring of our slave masters. So don't think that because you are calling on Jesus and you have this false hope of a rapture that you're going to escape his judgment. Every single being on this earth must be judged. Every single person. The only person that was not judged is Mashiach. Because he was perfect. And so he will turn his attention now to the Gentiles. Because the southern kingdom, they're dwelling in safety in third heaven. The northern kingdom, they have arrived in their land and they're living in safety. And now it is time for the Gentiles to pay for what they have done to us. And at the same time, for him to sift out the rebels amongst them. All right? This sifting will be continuous even throughout the 1,000-year reign of Hamashiach, as he will give them ample amount of opportunities to turn to him and to worship him. So don't think that he is unmerciful. He is merciful because he could have just wiped out everyone, all the Gentiles. He has his people now. But he made a promise that a remnant of the Gentiles are coming in with us. So he's going to give them enough opportunities, in fact, more than enough opportunities to choose him, to choose to worship him. And of course, many of them will choose not to. They will pretend all the way to the very end, if they make it that far. Because remember, they're still going to be dying. They're still going to have their sin nature intact. Only those of his people, the 12 tribes, when they're regathered, and they are only the righteous remnant that will be regathered, will receive their gifts, which will be to have their sin nature removed and to eat of the tree of knowledge of, to eat of the tree of life. Okay? To live eternally without sin ever again, hampering us and provoking us to unrighteousness. We will now be sinless. We will now be holy. We will now be righteous. So now we're seeing two dynamics of people on the earth. You have the Gentiles who are still who still have their sin nature intact, and you have the 12 tribes of Yashraal who will be sinless. You have the Gentiles that will be mortals, so they will be giving birth and they will be dying, whether of old age or what have you, whatever is going to take them down. Even the Most High is going to strike some of them down because of disobedience. And then you have the 12 tribes that will be immortal. All right, so you see the two dynamics of people here on the earth at this point of time. And this is the reason why he is going to give them, meaning the Gentiles, plenty of opportunities to choose him, to worship him. Revelation chapter 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Alahayam upon the earth. I know a lot of Gentiles, the Christians, they believe that because they have the Spirit of God, that they are not entitled or they are not going to face the wrath of God. That's what they call him. So that's why they believe that they're going to be out of here before this event takes place. In fact, they think they're going to be out of here sooner rather than later. But if you understand the prophecies, then you will understand that that is not the truth. It is not the truth. It's a deception. And many of them are under this dark, deep, heavy deception because they don't want to face the music. They don't want to face the truth. And this is going to make it even harder for them to accept Alahayam. And this is the reason why many are going to perish. Because they cannot accept the truth right now. There are few Gentiles that have accepted the truth about who they are and who we are. Very few. There are many out there that are in denial of who we are. And even though the word comes to their ears, they don't want to hear it because they want to believe that the people in our land are the people of the book because they look like them. Okay? They don't want to face reality, but that's all right because the Most High has no interest in them. You're deluded. These ones are deluded, and the Most High has no intention of bringing them in his kingdom. So he's allowing them to keep believing in the lies, to be deluded, to be delusional, to be in denial. All of this, those are spirits that he has released to them to keep them away from him. Because heaven forbid, if they start to believe the truth, then they're going to be under his care. He's not going to reject those that believe in him, only the ones that don't. So when they start believing in him, then you know what? They get a part of the inheritance. But they're going to face the wrath, regardless of if they're going to get a portion of our inheritance or not. The Gentiles that are alive on the earth at the time of the 7 vials, they have to face all of it. They have to face it. Face all of them, all of the vials. But he will keep them He will keep who belongs to him to preserve them from death. But they still got to go through it. And it's only because of faith and believing in him that they'll be able to endure and go through it. Look at all the things that the Negroes have ever gone through in a lifetime. How about over the generations? It's a lot more than what these ones are going to go through, that's for sure. All right. After the 7 vials are poured out, despite the torments of the judgments, there will still be many people who will hate Alahayam instead of repenting and turning to him to worship him. It will be these same ones who will join with Azazel to be in his armies, and Alahayam will use them to first destroy the mother of harlots, Babylon. Then he will send his son to destroy them. So he's going to use their own people to destroy the mother of harlots. All right? And I did a detailed study on the whore of Babylon. I've done it. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. Okay? Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Alahayam had put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Alahayam shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. So be careful, because the two words great city have appeared in connection to Yarawashalam, as well as the city of Babylon. Remember what I said, and I think I said it in the previous study, that Babylon is going to be a port city, and it's going to be a religious system as well as a trade and commerce system combined. Therefore, it's going to be an extremely wealthy entity on the earth. And Azazel, who will be the evil spirit, the Satan behind the New World Order number 8, that's the beast empire, will have no choice but to join with this harlot, because beast empire number 8 is going to be significantly weaker than its predecessors, than those that were before it. Especially number 7. Number 7 was the strongest. So it will have no choice but to join with this harlot so that it can acquire some wealth and it could acquire some power. The 10 kings that used to rule and had territories no longer have territories and no longer have power over the earth. But this harlot will have power over the earth. And that's why she's going to sit like a queen upon the beast. But the beast will hate her because she is going to usurp. She's going to control the beast. And the beast doesn't want to be controlled by this entity. And Alahayam is going to put it in the hearts of the people in the beast system to hate this harlot. Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. After the destruction, and before I carry on, the order of events here, we spoke about the northern kingdom dwelling safely in their land. Once they dwell safely in the land, then the 7 vials are poured out. All right, after the 7 vials are poured out, Alahayam is going to turn now to this harlot to destroy it. It will be the first Satan that will enter into the lake of fire. Let's read on. After the destruction of Babylon by the hand of Yahweh, as he hates this entity, Satan will be the first to be cast into the lake of fire. Hence, it's burning in the verses above. It's almost poetic. In fact, not almost, it is poetic. Right? It was burnt with fire. The port city was destroyed by fire, and the Satan was cast into the lake of fire. The fire that her own people destroyed her with will be symbolic of the fire that will destroy the evil spirit or the Satan behind this entity. So there's also a Satan behind this harlot. And it's an old one too. It's been around for ages. All these old religious systems, all these old religions came from this one. Now Hamashiach will be ready to return to the earth to be Malakana, meaning our king forevermore. And he will be returning with his saints who will be the southern kingdom. The first thing that Hamashiach will do is to transform Mount of Olives into Mount Shalawam and establish his temple there. Mount of Olives will be transformed because he is going to stand upon it when he comes riding through the eastern gate. He will land on Mount of Olives, and there he will transform it to be Mount Shalawam and set up his temple there. All right, let's read what it says here. Revelation chapter 19 verse 8. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. Not the same as the angels. The saints spoken of here will be the southern kingdom that will come with him dressed in white garments, fine linen, white and clean, or clean and white. The northern kingdom as well will be dressed in fine linen, clean and white, because the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. Who are the saints? The righteous remnant that were regathered. And still at this point of time, we are still two kingdoms. The northern kingdom dwelling in our land, and the southern kingdom that were dwelling in heaven, that came back now, are returning to the earth. Now I want to pause here and say something, because I know we talked about the northern kingdom being when they were in the wilderness. I'm backtracking here a little bit. They are going to be traveling in a perpetual garden of Odan. The Garden of Eden will be before them always until they reach the land, and then Alahayam is going to transform Yashraal to be like Gan Odan, Garden of Odan. And although the Garden of Odan is also in heaven, Alahayam can do whatever he wants to do, because these are his people and they are going to be dwelling in his garden, whether on earth or in the heavens. He can make a copy, and he will make a copy for the ones here on the earth, his people here on the earth. And although we will be dwelling in Gan Odan, in third heaven, he is going to bring the two and make it one, just like we were two, will be two and made one. Remember, he is Alahayam Yahweh, creator of all things. He can do whatever his mind whatever he wants to do, whatever's on his mind to do. Okay? So just understand that. Let's drop down now to verse 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. That means it was red, like blood. And his name is called the Word of Alahayam. And the armies, that's the 2.5 armies, the 2.5 tribes of the southern kingdom, which were in heaven, followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. It's repeating the same sentence in verse 8. So we know that the saints that are following him, the armies that are coming with him, will be the southern kingdom. All right, we got to look at the language. And this is the evidence. They're not going to be angels. They're not going to be Christians. They're going to be the southern kingdom, his people. Let's look at Zechariah chapter 14, verse 3. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Yarawashalam on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. So the valley that is there is going to raise up to form a massive plateau, and that's where the tabernacle will be established. The temple of Alahayam will be set up. All right. The Mount of Olives will be transformed into Mount Shalawam, hence the reason why Hamashiach will split it in two, then to raise up its valley to make it into a plateau. It will be upon this plateau that he will establish his temple. It will be here in this temple that he will heal Yashraal, who will enter into his temple as 2 kingdoms and leave as 1 kingdom as prophesied. Now, I covered all of this in the book of Revelation, how all of this is going to transpire, how all this is going to come to pass in great detail. Also, too, as I'm going through the holy feast days of Yahweh, we're going to see how all of this relate to the feast days. These events are going to be, they're going to relate to his feast days, okay? And this is the reason why they're all going to come together in one nice, neat package. Yarawashalam, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 15. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Moreover, you son of man, take you 1 stick, and write upon it, for Yahweh and for Habanai Yashraal, his companions. And Habanai Yashraal, the children of Yashraal, will be the 1.5 tribe, besides the tribe of Yahweh. There is the half tribe of Lawai, and the 1 tribe called Banaya Mayam, which is the tribe of Benjamin. So the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Lawai, who is Levi, they are considered Habanai Yashraal, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Yarawashalam, that's Joseph, the stick of Aparayam, which is Ephraim, and for all the house of Yashraal, his companions. And join them. Oh, before I go on, Yarawashalam, the stick of Aparayam, and for all the house of Yashraal, his companions, that is the northern kingdom. All right, that's the 9.5 tribe. Those are the 9.5 tribes. And for Yahawada, that will be the 2.5 tribes of the southern kingdom. So there are two kingdoms separated. Verse 17, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. And I explained how that is going to look. I know some people have drawings where you have two sticks side by side. How can two sticks side by side be one stick? That doesn't make any sense. Come on. You hold it's almost like you attach the two sticks together end to end, and you hold it in the middle to make it look like one stick in his hand. And he was being symbolic because Alahayam Yahweh already knew that his son is going to be the one person to bring the two kingdoms together in his hand. Verse 21, we drop down to verse 21. And say unto them, thus said Yahweh Alahayam, behold, I will take Habanai Yashraal from among the heathen where they be gone, and gather them together, gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And this point here, verse 21, is telling us that he is going to make us one kingdom, one nation in our own land. Not in the lands of our captivity, but when we enter into our land again, then we will be made one kingdom there. Verse 22, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Yashraal. Did he say he's going to make us one nation in the lands of our captivity? Did he say he's going to make us one nation in the wilderness on the second Exodus? No. He said, I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Yashraal. That will be Mount Sayawan, that has been transformed from Mount Olives. And one Malak shall be Malak to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. So up to this point of time, we're two kingdoms. Even when we are regathered, we're going to be regathered in two kingdoms. It's only when Hamashiach returns to the earth with the southern kingdom, he establishes the temple on Mount Sayawan, then he's going to call us in. We're going to come in as two kingdoms and leave as one. Because only he can heal the breach that is between us. This event has not taken place as yet. Therefore, we are still two kingdoms until this healing of our nations take place in the hand of Hamashiach. No man is going to do this. Okay? Not even Moses could do this. This is the hand of Alahayam is going to do this thing. Because this is a deep breach between the two kingdoms that has been for a very long time. We've been separated for a very, very, very long time. We're strangers to each other. And that's why he has to get rid of the rebels first before he brings us together as one. Because heaven forbid, if the rebels are still amongst us, we're going to still kill one another. But once we've been sifted and the rebels are removed and the righteous remnant now, they have now been established as his people, the sin nature removed, so there's no more provocation, and we've been given the fruit from the tree of life. Now we are just going to be a loving people, a peaceful, loving people. No one trying to be top dog, no one jealous or envious, none of that. Got too many people out there that want to be chiefs. Everybody want to be a chief. Everybody want to be a Moses. Everybody want to be a leader. But they don't know how to be a servant first. They don't know how to serve, but they want to be a leader. And this is the reason why Alahayam has to get rid of the rebels first before he can heal the two nations, the two kingdoms, to make them one. He did it the other way when our forefathers left Goshen. He brought out the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And how did it work out for them? They all died in the wilderness, save two families, because they were rebels. And being a rebel, you might have one rebel amongst you, and it spreads. That rebellion is like a disease, it spreads. Because look who made it into the land. Out of all the ones that left Goshen, two families. Only two families. All right? Alahayam is not going to go that way ever again. So now we got to live by faith, and we have to believe him by faith and walk in his commandments. And anyone who disobeys them, they're off, they're done. All right. To reunite us as one nation, he will reinstitute, this is speaking of Hamashiach, he will reinstitute his sacrificing and offerings to restore us to be one people again. And this is the reason why he's bringing us into the tabernacle, into the temple, because he has to make offerings. And these offerings will help to heal us to be one people, because we are going to sit and eat together and with him before Yahweh. And Yahweh himself is going to heal the breach in the hand of his son, Hamashiach. All right. The last segment of judgments and the second return of Malakana, our king, our Malak. The 7 vial judgments are poured out upon the earth. And this will be only upon the Gentiles, not his people. Babylon will be destroyed by her own alliances, the kings of the beast empire. That's beast empire number 8. Hamashiach will return to the earth to be Malak forevermore. He will return with the southern kingdom. Hamashiach will transform Mount of Olives into Mount Shalawam. He will establish his temple there upon Mount Shalawam. He will heal the breach between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, making them one nation again forever. That's the order of events thus far. So let's go on. Yarawashalam, chapter 42, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 42, verse 2. Then said Yahweh unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because Yahweh Alahayam of Yashraal have entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut. So when the temple was built and he entered in, that way was going to be shut forever, shut not forever, but shut until the prince, which is his son, will come again. Now, before I go on, I just want to reiterate again that Yarawashalam chapter 38, chapter 37 and 38, I have covered in great detail. I only took out certain verses to help with the timeline. All right. And as well, this one, Yarawashalam chapter 44, I looked at it in great detail And it's all in the study called the Book of Revelation. Okay, just want to repeat that so that you can go there and watch those videos. In fact, I have them now on podcast. I meant to say that. Oh my, I can't believe I forgot to tell you that. I have them on podcast, so you don't even need to have them on like watching it on a video. So I have them as videos. I also have it the whole study, the entire study of the book of Revelation in podcast form, as well as the second Exodus and the 3 days of darkness. I have all those on podcast. I'll try to put the rest on podcast as I go along. Okay? Let's read on. Verse 3, it is for the prince he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh. Now, why would the prince eat bread before Yahweh? Because eating bread was part of the sacrifice, the ritual of sacrificing. So when Hamashiach comes, he's going to offer up, because he will be the high priest forever. And he will offer up on behalf of his people, the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, so that Alahayam Yahweh now will heal the breach between the two. And we all will sit and eat with him bread and meat and whatever else, drink some wine. All right? That's all part of the ritual of sacrificing. He shall enter in by the way of the porch of that gate and shall go out by the way of the same. So he entered in. We're going to enter in through that same porch. And when it's time for us to ride out, when it's time for him to ride out, we will follow him. We will exit the same porch when he goes to that war that will be in the valley of decisions, or decision. After the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom are made one in the hand of Hamashiach, we will ride out with him to face a worldwide war called the War of Armageddon. This war will be comprised of the Beast Empire, number 8, led by Azazel, the false prophet or the anti-Messiah, who are there. Those two titles is the same person. And the Satan that will possess the image of the beast. Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. Revelation chapter 16, verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, which is the image of the beast. All right? Because I know I said earlier that when you see the word dragon, oftentimes it's in reference to a Satan. But in this case, because a Satan cannot be possessed by a Satan, all right? In this case, the dragon will be the image of the beast. So the image of the beast will be possessed with a Satan. That's why he's going to be able to talk. All right? So it's going to come out of the mouth of the dragon. And there it tells you what the image is going to look like. Out of the mouth of the false prophet, let me read that. Let me start again. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, which is the image of the beast empire. Sorry, because I made a slight mistake here. So it should read, the 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. So I kind of have it kind of mixed up there. So I will clarify that. All right. So the mouth of the dragon will be the image of the beast. And then we have the beast itself, which will be the beast empire. And then the mouth of the false prophet. So I should read it to you as the way it was written, and because I have messed up the words there. And the reason why sometimes you see my computer is so slow, right? And when I make when I edit something, when I make revisions, it deletes what I want to keep and it puts something else in. So I think that's what happened. So I'm going to read verse 13 to you again. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast. So I believe when I was editing and putting in the image of the beast, it deleted out of the mouth of the beast because the word empire there was supposed to be after that sentence and out of the mouth of the beast. So it deleted it, right? Technology is not that smart. Right? So the three unclean spirits like frogs, they come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. So the dragon here will be the image of the beast, and of course the beast will be the beast empire, and the false prophet will be the anti-Messiah. Verse 14. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to battle of that great day of Alahayam Shaddai. Drop down to verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Oberite town, that's the Hebrew town, Harmagadowan or Armageddon. Let's go now to Revelation chapter 19, verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him, Hamashiach, who sat on the horse, and against his army. So we're coming out with him to watch this battle between him and them, which will not be much of a battle because he's going to open his mouth and they're all going to be struck down with the sword in his mouth. But we're there to watch and to see their destruction. Just like our forefathers, when they were standing on the shores of the Red Sea, turned around and they saw the destruction of their captors, of their enemies. Okay, verse 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So if there are three frogs, three unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the dragon, the beast, and the mouth of the false prophet, how could only two be cast into the lake of fire? No, all three will be cast in. You see, they touched the word of Alahayam. They changed words, they changed names, they changed titles. All of this is to make us confused. If three unclean spirits like frogs, came out of these three entities, then these three, which are Satans, by the way, then these three Satans will be cast into the lake of fire. Just like the mother of harlots, that Satan, will be cast into the lake of fire. So now there are four Satans at this point of time in the lake of fire. Now, I also want to say this. The Satans were cast alive into the lake of fire, but the people that made up the armies, Hamashiach is going to melt them where they are. And the carrion birds are going to come and eat them, eat their flesh. Even the flesh of the animals that they were riding. This is another thing that we have to understand. There's no more technology because they're all riding horses. Okay? No more technology. Let's read on. This war was also prophesied by the prophet Yarawashalam, that's the prophet Joel, to be fought in a place called the Valley of Decision, which is the same as Harmagadowan. It will be at the time of this war that the sun, moon, and stars will be destroyed forever. So remember in part 2, I told you that time was going to be reduced by trumpet number 4. By trumpet number 6, the sun, moon, and stars, they stopped traversing across the skies and over the earth. All right? The sun stood still because time has stopped. And we know the sun was still in existence because Alahayam Yahweh will use the sun, the heat from the sun, as part of his judgments in the 7 vials. One of the 7 vials will be the sun scorching the men on the earth, the wicked men on the earth. So the sun is still here. The sun at up to this point of time, the sun is still here until now, when Hamashiach is coming against these armies, and the sun is going to be gone, sun, moon, and stars, and he will be the light now. His glory will shine upon the earth, as well as the glory of Alahayam Yahweh will be shining from Mount Shalawam, because he is dwelling in the temple now. So they have no need of the sun, moon, and stars. They have already fulfilled their duties. They are gone. And now it's just the glory. The glory of Hamashiach, the glory of his saints, the glory of Yahweh. Now we're not going to shine on the earth. No. We will just be reflecting his glory. And it's him himself, Hamashiach, and the Father, Abba, that will shine upon the earth. But we will reflect his glory. Let's read on. Hamashiach will become the light upon the earth, and the light of Yahweh will shine forth out of his temple on Mount Shalawam, as he will be dwelling there. So let's look at Joel chapter 3 verse 14. This is the book of Joel chapter 3 verse 14. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahweh also shall roar out of Shalawam, and utter his voice from Yarawashalam. So where's Shalawam? That's Mount Shalawam in Yarawashalam, upon that mountain. And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of Habanai Yashraal. Okay? So this is how we know that the sun and the moon will be darkened for the last time and never to shine again. Let's read on. After this war is fought and the devils are cast into the lake of fire, the next event to take place will be to cast the last Satan Gadriel into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years, the entire millennial reign of Hamashiach on the earth. And this will give the earth, the Gentiles on the earth, 1,000 years to think about who they want to worship. Revelation chapter 20 verse 1. And I saw another angel come down from heaven, having a key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he should be loosed a little season. So for 1,000 years, the earth, the Gentiles, will not have any provocation. But is that sufficient to cause them to worship Alahayam in sincerity of heart? No. There are going to be a lot of them that are going to be envious of what we have in Yashraal. And they're going to want what we have. And they're going to want to take it by force, but they just can't. But they're going to bide their time. Okay. After this event of imprisoning Gadriel, the righteous of Yashraal who had died will be resurrected to life. This will be the first resurrection of the saints of Alahayam Yahweh. And after he is in prison, once that war in the Valley of Decision is completed and Gadriel is cast into the bottomless pit, now the first resurrection of the saints will come to pass, because we will all be living and reigning with Hamashiach for 1,000 years. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them that were beheaded for the witness of Yarawashalam. So we know the era of this occurrence. So it will have to be the time after Hamashiach came to the earth, after he was walked on the earth as a man. Okay, so up from that time to the time of the last martyred, the last two that were martyred, which would be Hanawak and Alahayam. And for the word of Alahayam, so that will be people before Hamashiach came on the earth. They died for the word of Alahayam. And who had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. So these are the ones in the this would be the northern kingdom that were martyred because they stood for righteousness. They stood against the beast empire number 7. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. So that covers the entire group of our people, from Adam all the way to the last two to be martyred, which will be Hanawak and Alahayam. They're all coming back. Verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of Alahayam and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So they're coming back, never to be judged again, because they have been judged and found righteous. They've been given their rewards. They're being restored, and they now have eternal life. After the completion of the millennial reign of Hamashiach, Gadriel will be released from his prison. He will gather multitudes together to form a massive army. Alahayam Yahweh will draw them to the mountains of Yashraal. So now this is the final battle, the final war that this earth will ever see. This is the war of Gog and Magog. A lot of people are assuming that what's happening now is the war of Gog and Magog, or the war of Psalm 83. There's no war of Psalm 83. That does not talk about a war. The war of Gog and Magog will be done after the vials, after the 1,000-year reign of Hamashiach. Not now. But you see, when you have these ones, they're trying to fit pieces in a puzzle, and the pieces they don't fit, so they cut them and shape them so that they will fit. Because they have a scenario playing out in their minds that they want to happen. All right? So everything now is either the war of Gog and Magog or Psalm 83 war, which to me is utter nonsense. You got to read the psalm in its context and stop making up things. There's no war. That was a conspiracy against our people, the Negroes. Okay? There are only 2 major world wars that are left, and that's the war of Armageddon and then the war of Gog and Magog. Now, the war between the Northern Kingdom and the NWO Beast Empire number 7, well, that's another war too. And that's going to be a substantial war. But not as substantial as the Harmageddon or Harmageddon war or the war of Gog and Magog. Those two are the two last massive world wars that this earth will ever see. And look at when they took place. The war of Armageddon that will take place before the 1,000-year reign. And the other war, the war of Gog and Magog, will take place after the 1,000-year reign. But people aren't reading. They just look. And you see, once they're deceived into believing that the people in the land are the true people of the Bible, then everything else is a lie. So you can't help them. They cannot be helped. Because once you take that element out, then their sandcastle will fall apart. Their house of cards will fall apart. Because it's all being held up by a lie. They think that the people in the land are the true people of the Bible. Take that element away, everything else that they have falls apart, including the rapture. All that falls apart to nothingness. So they got to hold on to this deception that they're the true people of the book. Okay, let's move on. This war, all right, Alahayam Yahweh will draw them to the mountains of Yashraal. This war will be the last and final war this earth will ever see. It will be called the Gog and Magog War. Gog is the title that Yahweh has given to this entity, Satan. And Magog is the title given to the multitudes that will be a melting pot of many nationalities. And I did a detail, in fact, not even one study, but several studies, maybe 3 studies concerning Gog and Magog. All right? It's all part of the Book of Revelation series. Because the earth will be one landmass, there will be no more countries. And people will be free to dwell wherever they want to live except in Yashraal. They're not allowed in Yashraal, but they can traverse. I already explained the earth is going to be divided into 3 segments. In fact, I have it written here. So let me not be repeating myself as usual. So they will not be able to live in Yashraal, but they can cross through. There's going to be a place called the passenger highway, and that's the place where they can pass through to get to the other side. So let's read on. The earth will be sectioned into 3 parts. The middle portion will be Yashraal, top to bottom. The portions on both sides will be the dwelling places of the Gentiles. These portions on either side of Yashraal will be divided into 2 parts. So you have the northern parts or quarters and the southern parts or quarters. So if they want to go from the left to the right, they have to pass through Yashraal. So that's why they are allowed to pass through, but they just cannot dwell in Yashraal. The wicked will dwell in the northern parts. Those Gentiles who will belong to Alahayam will dwell in the southern quarters or southern parts. This final war will be fought by Yahweh himself, and he will destroy Gadriel and his armies. So we're not even coming out. Hamashiach isn't coming out. We're all going to stay in our land, and Alahayam Yahweh is going to destroy them himself. Okay, let's look for it. Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, and, and the beloved city. Now, be careful how this is reading, because they're going to be in the mountains. They're not going to come near the city. Don't forget, they changed up our words. All right. It's very clear in Yarawashalam chapter 38 what is going to happen. He's going to draw them into the mountains. He's going to destroy them there. He's not going to bring them near the city. All right. But they're going to want to encompass in the mountains, because they think that they're going to be able to ride down and invade the city. It's not going to happen. He's going to destroy them right there. And fire came down from Alahayam out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is the last and final Satan cast into the lake of fire. This is Gabriel. He is the worst of them all. He was the one who deceived Adam and Hawa in the Garden of Eden, and he's the one that promoted a lot of wickedness. He was the one who caused the other angels to come down to revolt against Yahweh. It's him. And that's why Alahayam saved him for the last, because he's going to destroy him himself. Cast him in the lake of fire. There he'll be tormented day and night in the lake of fire. All right. Yarawashalam chapter 38 verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, saying, and say, Thus said Yahweh Alahayam, behold, I am against you. I have saying and say. That's an extra word, sorry. Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn you back and put hooks into your jaws, and I will bring you forth and all your army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So you see already they're riding horses. There's no technology. They have not had technology for a very long time. Everyone's back to riding horses or donkeys or mules. And they have to use swords. They have to use bows and arrows, spears, but no more technology. That has been wiped out. All right? So Alahayam, he is going to put hooks in their jaws. He's the one that's going to draw them to the mountains of Yashraal. Verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togama of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with you. So that's where they're coming from the north parts, the north quarters. Let's drop down to verse 9. You shall ascend and come like a storm. You shall be like a cloud to cover the land, you and all your bands, and many people with you. Thus said Yahweh Alahayam, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into your mind, and you shall think an evil thought, and you shall say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars or gates. And that's how we will be living in our own land, because the glory of Alahayam is going to surround us. We don't need walls. We don't need gates. Let's drop down to verse 15. And you shall come from your place out of the north parts, you and many people with you, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. So they're coming from the north parts. That's where the wicked are going to congregate, especially coming close to the ending of the 1,000-year reign. They're all going to congregate. They're all going to drift up there. Alahayam is going to draw them all up there. So that's where they're all going to come from, because Gadriel, once he's released, he will know exactly where to find them up there in the northern parts. And from there, Alahayam Yahweh is going to draw them into the mountains of Yashraal. All right? Let's go down now to verse 21. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, said Yahweh Alahayam. Every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him. And that pleading there is not begging or asking, that's his judgment. Against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon many people that were with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. And these hailstones are going to be the size of basketballs. So talking about killing, Alahayam is going to destroy these people with everything that he's got: fire, brimstone, hailstone, rain, everything, all of the above. And then he's going to send the carrion birds to eat them clean, pick their bones clean. Then he's going to send Yashraal. Certain men are going to be selected to go and pick up the bones and bury them. All right. The Satans are cast into the lake of fire as their spirits, but those of flesh, the wicked ones, will be eaten by carrion birds. This will be a fitting end to the wicked that live deliciously with these devils. Now that all evil is destroyed, there is one final judgment that will take place, and that will be the white throne judgment, where the Gentiles will be judged, the living and the dead. This will not include those who took the mark of the beast or worshipped them, meaning the beast, but those who died not serving anyone in particular. There's some people, well, I don't really believe in anybody. I just want to live, right? Yeah. And those who will still be alive. The righteous dead of the Gentiles will be granted eternal life, and this will be the second resurrection. The righteous Gentiles will be given their portion of our inheritance to come into the tribes with us. And at this point of time, those that have remained righteous throughout their generations, they're going to receive a portion of our inheritance. Even though their parents might have died, but they died in righteousness. Okay? They will receive, they'll be resurrected to life and given eternal life. Revelation chapter 20, verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away. So now this is the destruction of the heavens and the earth. Okay? And there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Alahayam, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So the books that were opened are books of their deeds that were written down. And then you have the book of life, which if your name is not found in that book of life, you're doomed for destruction. So this is how Alahayam is going to judge now the Gentiles, according to their works. Verse 13, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. After the old heavens and earth are passed away, Alahayam Yahweh will bring forth new heavens, new earth, and new Yarawashalam, where he and Hamashiach will dwell in their temple forevermore. So let's look now at Revelation chapter 21, starting from verse 1. And I saw a new heaven. No, it can't be a new heaven. It got to be new heavens. Again, they're playing with our words. And a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. And there was no more sea. And I, Yarawashalam, saw the holy city, Yarawashalam, coming down from Alahayam out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So I went through this scenario, and I think it's chapter 21 of Revelation, the study that I did, and I explained how all of this is going to come to pass. Because while he is doing the judgment, the white throne judgment, Alahayam is going to destroy the heavens and the earth. And because we are no longer, we are like him. It's not like we're in limbo or anything. We will all descend together, including the Gentiles, the righteous remnant of the Gentiles. We will all descend together in the city called New Yarawashalam, presented to the Son, Hamashiach, as his bride. Verse 3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Alahayam is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Alahayam himself shall be with them, and be their Alahayam. So this is the consummation of the marriage between the bride and the bridegroom. This is also the fulfillment, the final fulfillment of the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? Let's look at drop down to verse 9. And there came unto me one of the angels who had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come here, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Yarawashalam, descending out of heaven from Alahayam, having the glory of Alahayam. That's us. We're also going to have the glory, not only the city itself, but we will become part of the city. We will be emitting the glory of Alahayam, because now we are fully transformed to be like angels. Okay? At this point in time, we are fully transformed to be like angels, to be like Alahayam. All right? And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. So now we drop down to verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for Yahweh Alahayam Shaddai, that is Yahweh Alahayam Almighty, and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of Alahayam did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So there are no more sun, moon, or stars, because now we will be living in a perpetual day. It's called the 8th day. All right? And that is our time of rest. Eternal rest. Although there will be no more oceans or seas, there will be the sea of water, also called the river of life, which proceeds from the throne of Alahayam and the Lamb. This will be the only body of water flowing on the land, which will create streams and other rivers like it. Which will create streams and other rivers like it did in the beginning in the Garden of Eden. So remember, the one river that came from the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Eden, it had split into 4 and became 4 major rivers on the earth. So this is what's going to happen with this sea of water, or the river of life. Revelation chapter 22, verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Alahayam and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Now, let me pause here and say this. Although we will not have time, we'll be able to determine, quote unquote, time by this tree of life. If it's bearing 12 fruits, one fruit per month, we will know which fruit it is. We will know which month it is. So that's why we will know which celebration is due. All right? Everything will be known instinctively because we are connected now completely to Alahayam Yahweh. We are connected like we've never been connected before. But this is also one sign that will help us to understand which month we're in. Right? When we see the change of the fruit on this tree of life. Verse 3, and there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Alahayam and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For Yahweh Alahayam gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. Amen. No light, because the glory of Alahayam and of the Lamb will be there to be our light on the entire earth. There'll be no time because we don't have need of time anymore. Alahayam created time because he knew what Adam and Hawa were going to do. He knew that they were going to sin. And he knew that, and because he made a way back for them and their descendants, he created time so that time can pass for them to bear the consequences of their actions so that they now can be returned back to him. That was the purpose of time. Time is for us to serve our sentence. You know, when someone is sentenced to a particular amount of time in jail, to imprisonment because of the wrong that they've committed, it's the same thing with us. And Adam and Hawa were the ones that committed the crime, the transgression in the beginning. So now we all were serving time. And now that time has been served and completed, he has no need for time anymore. When Adam and Hawa were living in the Garden of Eden, there was no time there. It was only after they left the Garden of Eden that they were now dwelling in time. And because there's no more time, there's no aging, no sicknesses, no anything, nothing. We are going to be perfect. The way how he had created Adam and Hawa in the first place, except we're going to be higher now. All of us, we're going to be higher. We're going to be upgraded in our glory. Even though we were in prison, all these generations, that imprisonment brought about a certain reward, and that reward will be that upgrade. So it wasn't for nothing. Okay? It was not for nothing. All that we are going through today is not for nothing. All that we have sacrificed and lost is not for nothing. Okay. The ending of our story will be a sweet, happy, and glorious ending. And this is how I wanted to end this study. This is what it is all about. The hardships, although very difficult, sacrificing our desires to acquire Alahayam's desires and to hold on to them can also be very difficult as we are struggling against our sin nature. This is our internal warfare which is making life even more difficult with the warfare outside around us, all the evil that is going on around us. We're already dealing with the warfare within. Now we're also dealing with the warfare outside. Yet we cannot fail if we choose to prevail. It's all a choice. When we choose to serve Alahayam Yahweh, how can we fail? Yes, we still have to go through things, but how can we fail? It's not possible. You may slip and slide, but we can't fail because He's there to put us, to right us up, to bring us on our feet. He knows the nature of this body, this flesh, how it's easy to succumb to provocation, to sin. All right? And that's why He gave us the gift of His Son, that all we have to do is repent. And the blood that was shed more than 2,000 years ago comes and it washes away that sin. We still got to bear the consequence. Don't worry about that. But we will be able to handle it with grace and with Him at our side. We are doing all of this. We are enduring all of this for one thing: our inheritance. And our inheritance is to dwell with Him in His presence forevermore. That's our inheritance. Don't worry about the other sweet stuff that He has for us, because He has plenty of goodies for us. There's a wonderful inheritance waiting for us, which money cannot buy. And there's certainly nothing on this earth that can compare to it. So all these people that trying to hold on to a job, going and taking the toxin so that they can keep a salary coming, you don't know what you've lost. Trying to hold on to sin or sinful lifestyle, you don't know what you're losing. You think you're holding on to something, it's all rust and dust. That's what it is. The real substance is in heaven with the Father. But you can't live in sin here on the earth and expect to make it to heaven. No, it doesn't work that way. Not at all. And this is the reason why Alahayam is giving us plenty of time to get ourselves right. But this time is drawing shorter and shorter each day, You don't have much time left. All right, let's move on with the conclusion. This is the millennial reign of Hamashiach and the 8th day. So this 8th day will be our perpetual day of rest. Hamashiach will destroy the beast empire number 8 forever. Satan Azazel will be cast into the lake of fire along with the Satan which will possess the image of the beast, and the Satan which will possess the anti-Messiah. This will be the war of Armageddon. All right? Gadriel, the Satan, will be bound for 1,000 years in the bottomless pit. Hamashiach will reign as Malak on the earth for 1,000 years. That's his millennial reign. Gadriel will be released to form his armies for the Gog and Magog war. This will be the last war that will ever be fought on the earth. Alahayam Yahweh will destroy these armies, and Gadriel will be cast into the lake of fire. The white throne judgment will begin. Gentiles will be given their rewards, whether to live forevermore or to be cast into the lake of fire. The old heavens and earth will be destroyed. The new heavens and the new earth and new Yarawashalam will replace the old. We will live and reign with Alahayam Yahweh and Hamashiach forevermore. And this will be the 8th day. All right. So that is the ending of part 3. I'm going to do a summary, part 4, but I'm going back to the feast days, the holy feast days of Yahweh, because they're all connected to this study. And once that is completed, then I'm just going to connect it all together, the timeline for the end times along with the calendar, the 8th, I did 8 months, as well as the holy feast days, how they all fit in together, because they all do. All right. So we're going to conclude with the blessing for Yashwa'al, taken from Ba Madabar, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. And this is the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. Yabarakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yahanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yasham lak shalawam. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And now I will recite the from Deuteronomy chapter 6 verses 4 and 5. This is the book of Debarayam chapter 6 verses 4 and 5 that he has commanded us to recite when we lie down, when we get up, when we go out, and when we come in. And this is Shama O Yashwa'al Yahweh Alahayam Yahweh Achad wa Ahabat Yahweh Alahayak Bakal Babak Wabakal Napashat Wabakal Ma'adak. Hear, O Yashwa'al, Yahweh our Alahayam is one Yahweh, and you shall love Yahweh your Alahayam with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And with that, I will say, Shalawam, Shalawam, all praises to the Most High, Abba Yah.